Was it not confirmed that I was speaking on this?
Yeah,
bill?
and I have a big long list and most of them aren't here, but so anybody who wishes to speak.
All right, okay. Gosh, I've prepared so much. I've prepared so much,
Well,
Chair.
Senator, by all means.
It's not often I get to support the Green Party, the Green Party colleagues here today, but I want to commend them. I'd like to commend them on this bill, and I believe it's a very important bill, and it's something that we can do very swiftly, and the Minister can enact on very swiftly. So I support the bill as it will allow for the immediate exemption for planning permission for solar panels on schools. It will also provide for the removal of other restrictions on solar panels from the planning regulation for homes and businesses. There is a growing demand for the installation of solar panels on homes, schools, community buildings, farmhouses and businesses across Ireland. There is a potential for economic benefit for citizens and communities from the installation of solar panels, including a reduction in electricity bills and income generated from selling surplus renewable electricity. However, planning permission is currently required for all solar panel installations on educational and community buildings. As a result, communities and schools have generally not invested in solar panels, given the considerable time, effort and money associated with obtaining planning permissions. This bill removes that cumbersome task. Regulations also requires planning permission for any solar panel installation on homes or businesses that exceed anything above a small size and area. So I support the measure supporting the removal, the deletion of that restriction on the area covered by the solar panels on the homes, businesses, light industry buildings, public buildings, schools and agricultural buildings. The amendment of Part 2 of Schedule 2 removes the restrictions applicable to light industrial buildings, removing the 50 square metre threshold. In terms of enabling industry to participate in energy transition, this bill confirms that the removal of this specific planning restriction applies to larger commercial buildings, and that is very much welcomed. My only cautionary note would be on the disposal of solar panels, and that is something we're going to have to, I suppose, look at and how we're going to deal with that. Under EU law, producers are required to ensure that their solar panels are recycled properly. In 2018, the first EU solar recycling plant opened in Rusa in France. Globally, the vast majority of dead solar panels wind ends up in landfills where valuable metals and materials inside them are lost. Even when solar panels are recycled today, these materials are rarely recovered. Instead, recyclers typically remove the aluminium frame holding the panel together, strip the copper wiring off the back and shred the panel itself, creating a solar hash that's sold as crushed glass. We need to develop new, bespoke solar recycling methods to ensure that the silver and silicone, as well as the tin and the lead used in the panels, can be reused. While less than 500,000 tonnes of solar waste exist globally in 2016, the International Renewable Energy Agency has projected that by 2030 that figure could rise to 8 million tonnes. By 2050 we could be throwing out 6 million tonnes of dead solar panels every year, nearly as many as we are installing, and 78 million tonnes of panels will have reached the end of their lifetime. That's a staggering amount, undoubtedly, and it doesn't even begin to paint the whole picture. Those predictions are premised upon customers keeping their panels in place for the entirety of their 30-year life cycle, when we know, and the data will tell you, that some of these will only last 15 to 20 years. They do not account for the possibility of widespread early replacement as a result of increased efficiency of later models. Last year, the Harvard Business Review publishing model, which predicts up to 50 times more solar waste than predicted by ARENA, solar production boom has left its recycling infrastructure in the dust. It's all very well and good to throw these panels up on every flat surface in the country, but if we don't invest in recycling technology necessary to process them, we're just kicking the problem down the road for future generations. So investment, Minister, in a recycling solution for these panels might be a way forward. So that is really that's really the issue in relation to the recycling of the debunked solar panels that will emerge here in this country in 10 to 15 years' time. The Friends of the Earth obviously have been very, very keen to push this bill forward, and you have done some really good work on the issue. The Minister and the Minister of State of the Department of Housing unexpectedly raised an entirely new issue in 2020 regarding the potential of glint and glare at airports from solar panels. I noted the need for yet further research over the course of this year before any changes regarding permission can be made. This is despite Dublin Airport already having a major solar panel installation in place since 2019. In 2021, the Department noted it intended to produce some form of interim planning regulations for solar panels in Q1 2021, which would work around potential aviation issues. In March, this was changed to Q2 2021. In April, the Minister noted revised regulations for solar panel exemptions would be submitted shortly to Oireachtas for approval. However, in June, it was noticed that a strategic environmental assessment was now necessary, which would take 4 to 5 months. So I'm just wondering where you are with that. This deliberate delay, maybe you haven't delayed it further, of deprioritising this issue for the government must not be allowed to continue. The government should introduce an immediate amendment to the planning legislation for solar panels to proceed with only limited updates on these amendments. So that's basically the Friends of the Earth and what they are recommending. But I fully support this particular piece of legislation, this bill. I have an issue with the recycling, but I'm sure you're going to be able to address that as well, Minister. Thank you.